our time versus blue-white control with a light red splash. Looks like players are resolving mulligans already, so we're actually going to go straight there.
Yeah, straight into the game. This notably is the matchup that Skyler lost on camera earlier today.
Yeah, Skyler lost in like 7 turns on
Yeah,
camera.
it was brutal. Notably, though, this deck has a lot less counterspell level interaction. He is much more closer to mono white with only splashing for the reality chip. No main deck spell pierce in this one.
I think there's actually 2 spell pierce.
Oh, it is the very top that I cannot read. So, you know. All right, turn one.
I mean, kind of a blazing fast start here for Levi. Also unlocking mana really quickly with that.
Yeah.
With that Springleaf Drum.
So it looks like we have a Force of Negation, which I think Skyler is pondering on. Yep, there it is.
I think that's a pretty good Force of Negation. Skyler doesn't want to have to interact with the enchantment there.
No, the Sigarda's Aid is one of the worst parts for blue-white to interact with once it's on the board, because they want to spend their removal on creatures, not on the enchantment.
Right.
So we've got back to Skyler, it looks like, or back to Levi. Ink Moth. That, I think, is one of the other scary cards for blue-white in this matchup. Or, I guess, Jeskai. Is he playing Fire and Ice? Is that the red splash?
Yep, that is the only red card other than... It actually might just be the only red card. The thing is, though, that you also get red for extra Chalice if you wanted, and extra explosive.
Explosives and Prismatic, right?
Oh, Prismatic. That's actually the one I was thinking of. So
nice. Skyler leads off on a Seachrome Coast after that, and Levi makes a Construct token that is already...
Probably going to make another Construct token here is my guess.
Yeah. Just get 2 in there, and these will be 5/5s. That's Springleaf Drum doing a ton of work here. Turn 3.
And one of these will be able to attack this turn as it came into play last turn.
Nice.
It's actually really cool for this deck because it's actually really hard for decks like Amulet Titan to lead on turn 1 Saga and be able to make all the constructs that they want. Whereas when you have a Springleaf Drum, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, especially when, I mean, we're looking into Shadow Spear. So I think we're relying on maybe he knows about the Svelins, because that would be the only thing I'd think you'd want a Shadow Spear for here.
It's possible.
But we'll find out. Alright, fetch. Hallowed Fountain. I guess the other thing is going super hard in on the...
Dress Down is a huge blowout here if Levi does not have the Spells Pierce.
That would be super bad for Levi. Also, fantastic choice for the main deck right now with how much 4-color and Titan are running around today. I imagine that's part of why Skyler, even though we watched him lose before, is so far into this tournament. I believe that is his only loss, too.
And we do see a mana here.
For Blacksmith skill.
What does that do?
It gives it +2/+2 and indestructible. But if it goes to 0/0...
I don't know that it's going to matter.
Yeah, that does not do anything, I do not think. They're calling a judge, it looks like. But I am pretty sure...
It's going to lose the +2/+2, isn't it?
Yeah, and it loses the indestructibility as well. So it should just die no matter what in this scenario. There's not a window to do it once Dress Down is in play, because the static effect will kill it with the second any kind of priority happens. I'm going to check on the game state.
We're going to cut back to us while the judge is taking care of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually am quite confident that we're going to end up losing. Oh, we are going to cut back, and it does look like the
construct survives.
It's going to be a 2/2, but it should... I don't know how the stack will work where... Okay, well...
So the way that works out is there's a trigger for Dress Down to go away, and then the +2/+2 goes away at the end of the cleanup step.
That was going to be my question.
So I think the answer there being that stat changes occur after in layers after the removal of abilities, which is why a germ token will stay around if it has a Cauldra thing attached to it. Would be my guess as to why that occurs in that order. Can always get our resident L2 here to come explain it after the match if we need to.
Looks like Stoneforge Mystic mana is being used. Oh, no.
Just equipping up. It is...
I expect to see Prismatic here.
March.
Floating the mana. Sack. I would assume that we're going for another blue-white land here.
That would be my...
Nope. Basic plains.
Interesting. So what could we be going for? We don't have... I guess when we only have 3 blue spells in the main deck, and we already have the Springleaf in play, it's probably not great to want to have multiple blue sources, but I don't think Skyler's going to pressure his life total like at all.
Yeah, that would be my thought as well. It does look like we have an equipped...
Ornithopter.
Yep.
Getting in. So, only one Steel Scraper here. So, this... Interesting... I'm curious to see what is in Levi's hand.
Yeah, a little surprised to not see a lot of plays to the board in this game.
Yeah, it's been very much focused on the Urza Saga early. And there's the Svelun. This is, knowing Skyler, I don't know if you've played with him very much, but since Svelun came out, he has been all over this card. The very first 1K it was available to him here at Lehi, he played it. Did really well with it too, so I think he's pretty happy to...
Changing the direction of the game here, electing to start attacking with a poisonous creature.
Yeah. So Levi's hand's at least got 1 hammer in it, which I think makes sense based on the way he's played. All right.
Levi back up to 19 after multiple attacks with that spear.
Do they gain life off of the...
Yeah, it replaces. It's a
replacement effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slide that over to you, Spence. So gets in with this Svelun. Or no, we're on Levi's turn. We're back to Levi. Got distracted by our water delivery here.
That's what real top 8 players do, is they bring giant waters to coverage.
Letting us... Emperor. That's...
one way to get rid of an Inkmoth Nexus.
Did not realize that was in the deck.
He has 4 in the deck, I believe.
Yeah. Very similar in field to the blue deck, actually, we saw last round, where just never tapping out, or tapping out as little as possible until you deploy a singular threat.
Yeah, I got to play Skyler at a recent 1K, and he was playing Esper, playing most of these cards. So it was interesting to see him switching to a light red splash. The Chalice on 1 is going to be a pretty big hurdle to overcome here for Levi, especially now that the board is pretty full for Skyler.
Yeah, I have a hard time imagining Levi gets around this. Only way I think he can get out from under Chalice is probably just Stone Forging, or at least to get any 1 mana artifacts into play. So
everybody's trying to bring me water now.
I know. They just love you so much, Spencer. Pure Steel?
That is certainly a way, like, what... is Pure Steel an ETB trigger on the artifacts, or is it a cast trigger?
I believe it is a cast trigger. I think SRAM is an ETB.
That makes sense to me.
It is going to die, it looks like, though.
Well, then I don't need to look this up.
Yeah, I think this game is probably pretty wrapped from here. I have a Skyler also has a solid.
It is actually an ETB trigger for pure steel as well.
Interesting. So that would make sense as to why he did not cast the hammer there. There's not like an Otawara in this deck, is there, to maybe get out from underneath any of this? No.
I think it would be more likely to see like a prismatic ending or something.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But it does not look like those are here either.
I don't see any in the sideboard. There is a March, but I don't know if March can hit artifacts. I'm very used to just seeing only prismatic ending out of these decks. I want to say it's enchantment, creature, or planeswalker for March.
What is March titled?
Otherworldly Light. There's the sideboard here for our Hammer Time player, but it looks like
it is artifact, creature, or enchantment with value X or less, so it can actually hit it for exactly one.
Perfect.
But we do look like we got the scoopsies there, so we will be looking at sideboards.
And as he sideboards, he immediately put down the March that was at the front of his sideboard. So I imagine he's feeling that on the.
Yeah, we've already kind of talked a little bit about Skyler's side. Heliod's Intervention and Path to Exile being the two that are most likely to come in. But last time it looked like Skyler was boarding in, that both players boarded in quite a bit, so I'll be interested to see how many cards Levi reaches for.
Yeah, it looked like he put 3 down when I was looking at him. Watching him fourth. So 4 into the deck.
I would guess that it is likely the Spell Pierce, likely the March, maybe both the Marches.
Maybe the Mana Leaks.
I don't know if I like Mana Leak as much on the draw.
That's
or I guess he's on the play.
He's on the play.
Could be the Mana Leaks.
Yeah. Lavinia is also really good against free spells. So we could see that, but I think that's more for Titan than it is for any kind of control deck.
Well, it looks like Levi's going back again, so it could be that.
Yeah, maybe making a change here. I did see the Mana Leaks at the top of his deck.
Okay, so probably boarding on 5 now.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Let me see.
Looks like some of the smaller Ornithopter things are coming out.
That would make sense to me. If you're going to put more tax on if Skyler's bringing in extra removal to go down and try and use your bigger threats.
Sure. And also, you're boarding in permission for the removal spells anyway.
Yeah, so protect what you have rather than just trying to overwhelm the control deck.
Looks like Skyler has a total of 2 Supreme Verdicts in his 75. So it's not like Skyler can go up on the number of Wrath effects.
Yeah. Just targeted removal. Which looks like he had the main deck blacksmith skill, right? Was that the only? He's got 2 of them. And I guess Giver as well is pretty good against targeted. Notably, Levi's also, I think, a member of Team 3-Star at this point, with Drew and Clint, who's been in and out of the chat, or at least practices with them. I get to talk with them fairly frequently. They're good guys, so. I don't know. Ideal start for Levi. What do you think that looks like?
Esper Sentinel.
Esper Sentinel? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
I think it's Esper Sentinel almost all the time, though.
Yeah, Sentinel. That might just have to be it.
I mean, Sentinel plus Drum plus something else. Like, obviously, you can have a lot of draws where you're getting to really fast hammer.
Yeah.
But I don't even know that, like, a fast hammer is even what I, like, most want in this type of matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I would almost assume that, like, you know, just accruing a lot of value while playing to the board is kind of what Levi's looking for.
That makes sense. His current hand looks like 2 Stoneforge Mystics. He's sending it back. Force and March, Otawara, and Counterspell for Skyler and a Hall.
Yep. And for those in chat, Skyler is up a game. So we're in game 2. Blue-white up against Hammer. It does look like Levi is mulliganing.
Yeah, down to 6. A little rough against the control deck, I feel like, to already go down a card, but
Well,
yeah.
luckily for Levi, Skyler is electing not to play things like expressive iteration
Yeah.
to really pull ahead on value here.
There's even like memory deluge in the deck, is there?
There is no memory deluge.
So we're just on
There's 4 Archmage's Charm.
Charm and Spaloon, I guess, are only card advantage engines.
Yep.
Cool.
Huh. All right, and okay, here we go. Leading on a Hallowed Fountain into Esper Sentinel.
There we go.
So I would want to start.
I mean, that's how it started in the last matchup we watched on stream between these two decks. And right.
Yeah, Paul having turn 1 Sentinel in both of those games was pretty tough for Skyler.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the Cigar Disease come down here. He's lower on expressive than anyone you know, huh?
Stoneforge Mystic.
Can't force that. I do believe he's a March, though. So this does set up the Cigar Disease Hammer next turn pretty well. Unless he decides to go, he put Caldra at the front here. Does get Caldra complete. Yeah, it is a light red splash king.
Skyler stepping away from the table.
Maybe asking interaction.
Yeah, overall, I appreciate Skyler's dedication to the blue in his life.
Yeah.
You know, if there's anything that we've learned about this man, it is that he is dedicated to those islands.
Yeah, he was one of the first players I ever played against consistently when I first started playing competitive Magic, and definitely taught me more about how to be a dedicated blue player than anything else.
It does look like we are getting a fetch into a tap land here. Did we see what was put into the hand here with the Stoneforge Mystic?
Cauldron complete.
Okay.
I do feel like every game I've watched Skyler play, he has played the Ragran Charm on one. However, that is a Heliod's Intervention in his hand, which destroys X artifacts, right?
That's correct.
Solitude. Pitching. Emperor. Really respecting the Stoneforge here.
Do you think that was a card drawn for the Esper Sentinel there?
On the Solitude? Yeah. Solitude's a creature.
Oh, is it the first non-creature?
Yeah. Poking in with the Sentinel here. Aid.
Aid, once again, not the card that he wants to see. I would expect that if there's a counterspell in Skyler's hand that he would fire it off.
Yeah, so it looks like we got counterspell on the right side next to Dress Down, Force of Negation, and he started shuffling his hand, and now I don't know what the fourth card was.
There was a Wandering Empire in his hand as well. Emperor, I should say. It looks like it did resolve, though.
Interesting. Does have a Spaloon in hand as well. Maybe he's feeling that he can just counter any...
Sure, whatever the equipment is.
Yeah. Which I think is smart if you're looking at a hand of counterspell, Force of Negation.
I mean, now he gets to deploy his threat while leaving up Force of Negation and hopefully just getting back any value that he's lost with his Pitch Elementals.
That's fair.
So,
yeah, I think one thing here that's really good, notably the last time we watched him tap out for a Spaloon, he did die immediately to double hammer. But this time he does have counter magic, so...
Chad does bring up a good point that it could also be that the longer he waits, the better this intervention in his hand gets.
Oh, that's right. That's the fourth card, is the intervention. Because he pitched the Wandering Emperor, right? To the...
I think he still has a Wandering Emperor in hand.
Okay.
I could be wrong, though. It is very hard for me as a commentator to commentate now with every single card having 4 different arts.
Right? If I didn't work with them every day, I think I would struggle even more than I do, because me and Patty were having a hard time with some of the cards earlier. I was like, I don't know what that is. Oh.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
I like the pickup. It's one of my favorite things is when somebody picks up, like, they're like,
Yes.
no, just see what I think it does.
I do not love Lavinia as a combo player. She is one of the cards that drives me nuts. Doesn't deploy the hammer, though, after playing the Lavinia. That I thought he had in hand, but maybe he does not have hammer. Looks like blacksmith skill. I can't see what the other cards are. We know that one of them's a Cauldra.
Yeah, it definitely would have made sense to deploy hammer there, as it was an opportunity to play around force.
Yeah.
But
now, I guess now we'll just see what occurs. Anything that we can't tell exactly what's in his hand now.
it looks like another Sigarda's egg on the far right.
Yeah, I think you're correct. The darkness of that art, I think, indicates that. Just passes the turn. Looks like the Fire Ace was drawn for.
This is Skyler seems to be starting to be pulling away with this game.
Yeah, I think so.
Just the sheer number of cards that coming into Skyler's hand is going to be rough to overcome on the limited resources that Levi has right now.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Curious to see. Oh, I think this is gonna be a blacksmith skill. Yeah, targeting the Lavinia. Probably met with counterspell. Oh,
Ooh.
that's. Do get a better look at Levi's hand. Do you see the paladin there? And what looks to be another blacksmith skill.
Well, I certainly would try to save this.
Yeah, I think this will meet the counter. Yep.
And counterspell. The card that I thought was Wandering Emperor was definitely that counterspell for what it's worth.
Oh, got you. That art is the white, how light it is on the sides. I definitely could see that.
And we have a Mewtwo pulled in the shop, so you know the day is going well for some chillins. All right, untap here. This is once again pretty close to shields down. If we are able to get some creatures into play here, it would be an opportune time to do it.
Yeah, I don't think Skyler has a blue card for force either at the moment.
That's true. But he does still have the Heliod Intervention in hand.
Yeah, that
Ooh.
I mean, looks like we're probably going to draw some cards here. At the cost of maybe getting board wiped, though. You know, this Sphaloon is doing a really good single-person Howling Mine impression.
There's a name for that card.
Is there?
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called. But there's, I think it's 6 mana.
Well, 3 mana do that is...
And deal 3 every turn, so
yeah. It's quite a bit better. He might...
I really like the patience that that Skyler has shown with this intervention.
Yeah, I think we're gonna... Ooh.
Wow.
Solitude. Probably a Esper Sentinel, blocking a Sentinel. So life totals should be...
Going to go 8 to now 19 or 15?
15. Paladin, post-combat. Second aid. Ending.
Still hasn't even had to deploy the Heliod's intervention yet.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to need to.
That was a sick draw.
What was it?
It was a...
Oh, it's a charm.
It's a charm, yeah. So now, even if you get to equip to that brute...
he just takes it.
Yeah.
All right.
And that will do it. Skyler will win the match 2-0. And
we're back with Skyler, winner of our last round, with his Jeskai / blue-white. I'm not exactly sure why this says Jeskai on here, but
there's a red card in it.
Well, we watched the red card.
The fire mattered both games too.
You're right. But okay, talk to me about this. So we've seen you play Esper in the past.
Yeah.
Me and Spencer talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
What was the transition back to Jeskai for? Is it just fire? Do you feel more consistency?
Actually, it was just I spent a lot of hours testing this week.
Yeah.
And I went from Esper to Bant, but then ultimately found that the cards I was taking out in the matchups that I came ready for were the black cards and the green cards consistently.
Fair.
So it was like literally like the green cards that we're playing. Most of them were coming out like endurances. I mean, even Ice Fang like wasn't matching up very well.
Sure.
And then Esper like Fatal Push was like okay, and obviously it gives you like bigger removal like Void Rend and stuff, as well as like Damn. But like the removal wasn't as good, especially with the speed of the meta. The pinnacle of the decks that I came to play against were Titan, Hammer, Burn, and Cascade decks.
Yeah.
So that being said, we wanted to go to Chalice in the main because Chalice is good against basically all those decks.
Yeah.
And even the 4-color deck I played against was Traverse version today.
Oh, so the Chalice was okay there.
Was way good.
Nice.
Like, so the reason was we just want to be blue-white. All the cards I wanted were just blue-white. And then the last 3 slots bounced around a lot. And I talked with my team that I work with, and we were trying to figure out what to do with last 3 slots. Wanted something a little more to do early, and Fire Ice matched up well against like Cascade, slowing him down a turn. Stopping like the turn 3 Cascade on the when I'm on the draw. Fire matches up well with the burn decks, as well as Hammer Time. But like the only downfall to it is it had the choice to by doing it, I took out the breeding pool for steam vents, so I lost the ability to go to ending for 4.
Okay.
By doing it, because I'd rather have the 2 red sources in the deck.
That makes sense.
So
especially more consistently casting the fire then.
Yeah.
So game 1, you go to dress down your opponent blacksmith skills.
Yeah.
We actually weren't sure exactly how that interaction worked. Will you walk us through?
I wasn't sure either.
Yeah. So what did the judge end up ruling?
Basically, the +2/+2 lands. It loses everything else, but like because that goes away in cleanup, it lives through the end of the turn.
Gotcha.
That was a slight mishap. I thought about it like. I didn't think it really mattered. I kind of just like got on autopilot for a second. I should have dressed down in response to the fetch.
Oh, okay.
When he cracked for the Hallowed Fountain. I should have just dressed down then because I was going to do it regardless.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I actually didn't hate the fact that it was that early and the built to smash was gone.
Okay. Yeah.
So like I didn't have to worry because like usually it's the late game built to smashes that blow you out of the water.
Okay.
Most of the time, so it wasn't actually that bad because I was able to deal with it the next turn.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyways, at that point in time, so and
cool.
That game especially was pretty fortunate having the force in the opener.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I get hammered on 2.
Yeah. Well, like we saw before the last time we had you on camera, we were talking about that when we were like, we hope this looks a little cleaner instead of only seeing you for seven turns.
That was the first time was tough. Like. So I had like some scenario decisions where like game 1, I know Paul plays a lot of artifact decks. I didn't know what he was playing, and but he doesn't always play Hammer. Sometimes he played Affinity, and so I figured the blind Chalice on 0 was not the worst because even if he's playing Hammer,
you get like half of
I get
creatures.
I slow his deck down a lot, right? Ornithopter's Mem Knights, he can't Springleaf draw him.
Yeah.
And like I had like a good hand, and then I just went for, and then I had resolved this Feloon.
Yeah.
And he attacked, and I actually had Charm plus. I had everything I wanted in my hand at that point. And I was like, I assumed he was going because he played 8. I assumed he was gonna have one Hammer. I was like, all right, I'll take 11 or whatever. In the next turn, worst case scenario, I can just like charm his guy.
Yeah.
Start because Feloon helps me turn the corner. That's when I start turning the corner. and he had double hammer. And
just
I think the biggest difference that you saw between this match and the first match is I drew 0 force and 0 solitude.
Yeah, in the
first match.
Yeah.
And having the force and solitude, as you saw in both games, mattered a lot. Solitude the Stoneforge on 2 to get the Cauldra, forcing game 1, forcing the 8-on-1 on the play, like. Not drawing those cards in the matchup can be rough for sure.
Yeah, I think it gives you a lot of defensiveness. Especially, we actually watched the mono blue deck last round, which also runs Sphaloon. We've played plenty of times in the past, and I've always questioned your choice of Sphaloon. But today, it's looked fantastic every time I've seen it cast.
It's the card that wins the game every time.
Yeah,
it's every matchup is the card that turned the corner today. Every single one.
Yeah,
I think the sickest card today for me has been. You saw it in my hand, but I didn't actually saw it was actually Heliod's Intervention.
Yeah, so we were curious how long you were going to hold it. And the patience, basically, every time you drew a card with Sphaloon, I was like, we are further and further away from seeing this Intervention being cast.
So I had a time sieve matchup where I Intervention for 4 and blew out his board in response to him casting a time sieve.
So then he can sack the artifacts to. Oh my gosh!
And then
that's brutal.
had the hammer matchup that I had played the previous round.
Yeah.
He attacked with 2 ink moths and had a saga in play, and I killed both ink moths in the saga with a single Heliod's.
That's brutal.
That slot was like that slot was crazy. That slot went back and forth on.
Yeah.
I did it because it doubled as artifact enchantment hate and it doubled his life gain against burn.
Okay.
Because I had a 3rd blossoming column in that initially.
Oh.
Blossoming column number 3. So it kind of doubled as that 3rd burn hate card because burn was a deck I definitely expected to see today.
We've seen a lot of burn today. I think
expected to see it for sure.
5 to 6 pilots.
To it.
So last card in your sideboard I want to talk about. Summary Dismissal. That's like seeing a lot of play in Pioneer, and I have not seen it in Modern at all.
You can ask about the 4-color guy who got his Emrakul Summary Dismissal in game 2.
With the trigger on the stack.
Yep.
That's
the entirety. So the entirety of reason of the Summary Dismissal is all the 4-color decks are going to Emrakul, all the control decks are sideboarding in Emrakul, even some of the 4 colors are main decking Emrakul.
Yeah.
And all the Titan decks are on 3 to 4 caverns now.
Yeah.
And they also a lot of times have Emrakul on the board.
This is true.
Also, some are going to Hydroid Crisis as well, and it deals with all of those. And it gets around counterspells. Biggest thing, it gets around Veil of Summer.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because it doesn't target, it just exiles everything off the stack.
That makes me very unhappy as a combo
player. That is the entire reason for Dismissal. And it started on 1, and I was like, I know 4 colors are going to be here.
Yeah.
I wanted both. To draw it. Just give me additional ways to get around uncounterability and Emrakul, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it wins you the stack war in a lot of matchups, I would assume, as well, if you get super late.
Yeah, I mean, actually, so in one of the games, I actually beat the Cascade matchup one of the games because of it. I dismissaled his Otawara.
Nice.
Which kept my Chalice of the Void in play.
Yeah, so
so he couldn't...
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that, about dealing with the channel lands earlier today, and we talked about Nimble Obstructionist and Disallow seeing play, but I didn't think Summary Dismissal, I think that covers a lot more bases than these other cards do.
Initially I was on, so Obstructionist I consider, but the problem is with Emrakul, you still have to deal with 13/13.
Yeah.
That's the issue with Obstructionist, obviously more versatile than Dismissal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind Disallow, but I want to counter both the trigger and the card, not just counter one or the other.
Makes sense.
And then the other card we considered was Whirlwind Denial, because it costs 3.
3 mana one, right?
It's counter all spells and abilities on the stack unless they pay 4 for each one.
Okay.
But like Titan and like even 4 colors sometimes can get up to so much mana they can actually pay for it.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't get around counterability.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah, you can't beat Veil of Summer with it. Yeah.
Because it does counter. So that was the reason to go to Dismissal.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. Thoughts on potentially being in the top 8 depending on how the playdown works?
I mean, that's what we came here to do, right?
Absolutely.
Hoping to qualify and join you in Atlanta.
I'm hoping somebody I know wins.
I mean, I would love to. That's the goal. It's going decent so far. Round 3 obviously didn't go as well as I had hoped, but
I mean, after that,
we worked our way back up and in a good spot now. Can't complain. So.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you can just draw into the top 8. We have a clean cut. If not, I mean, it'll be 50-50 on whether or not you have to play.
I'm impressed you could read my deck list, by the way.
Hey, we had somebody earlier. Joe Sumner's deck list. Oh, dude, we were like, what the hell does this even say? It was Ulamog, but it was just scribbles. I was like, this is not a card. So we didn't ask you to rewrite it, so it's not that bad. But anyway, awesome talking to you.
Yes.
I hope to see you will do well in the top 8.
Appreciate it.
And
Thanks, man.
best of luck, man. All right, y'all. Put you back on the go, but we'll be right back screen. I think we might be doing an interview with the owner of Game Grid here pretty soon. So talk to y'all in a little bit.